Greetings to you all and welcome to today's weekly market forecast. So we're going to start first with the dollar index, probably from the 1 month chart. Let's see how the monthly candle has been doing so far. Today is already the 23rd of the first quarter. So we have it price reacting beautifully from this fair value gap right here. All right, we're having that rejection from that fair value gap. And maybe it could be safe to say that this is going to be the low of the month already, as price has created between this inside this fair value gap. All right, this is how you can easily predict high and the low of the month. All right, based on PD arrays, based on key levels. All right, because as today's already 23rd, maybe throughout this week, as we're going to drop down, we might see that price will want to just trade within this range and maybe close for the end of the month. But regardless, let's see. This is how this monthly candle has closed. We have taken previous weekly low and then we have closed above this particular candle. This alone is a sign for a retracement that is coming in. And looking at this swing structure here, we have this mitigation block right here. All right. Now, it is also at a good point because if we try to measure maybe from this high down to this point of area here, we'll notice that this mitigation block is around the 50% on the 618 level of this price leg that just happened. So which means there's a possibility that we can have price. Maybe we'll play into this area before we continue, maybe lower prices to take out this low. All right, or maybe even to come down to this inefficiency here. Whatever the case might be, but then we have this breaker right here. Okay, we have this breaker right here. So I feel like we're going to have higher prices into this area and maybe a rejection right into this mitigation block. So this is what I'll be expecting. We have this breaker here. We have this breaker block and then mitigation block. We have the breaker and then we have the MB. Okay, so this is what I'll be expecting on DXY. Maybe a further move to the upside into that particular, into this breaker and this mitigation. I think if we use this line, you will see that it's actually it's a key level. Before it was a resistance, it got broken, became support, went up, came down again, broke the level, and now probably we'll be having a retest of it. So I think it's a good spot, a good point for price to at least trade up to it. Now we'll look at the daily to see if there is any confluence around this breaker or this mitigation. So let's go to the daily chart. All right, so daily chart, we have a fair value gap just around this point. We have this fair value gap here. Okay, and this fair value gap on the daily also aligns with this breaker right here, which means trying to refine this area on the daily time frame. We can have this breaker, which has to do with this fair value gap, which is also within the breaker that we had on the weekly time frame. So I think this spot, this particular area, is actually a very nice zone to expect prices to come back to. And I think that even if we try to use our range just from here to this bottom, we'll see that that's a 618 level. So there's high probability that price might want to at least trade up into this area before it gives us another push to the downside, because all these imbalances here, I feel like price is going to feel it and maybe even lower, taking out this low, because this is a market maker sell model, which I actually expect price. All right, so we've already concluded on DXY that we expect price to go up back into this fair value gap before we can continue lower. All right, so let's look at Euro USD now. All right. So let's look at this guy for a moment. Looking at DXY, I mean, trying to see how we can take trade. We can have this area where we can look to get our longs from, which means that we might want to see price retest, maybe take out the low of this Friday's candle back into the range of this breaker before we push higher into that particular area. All right, let's even go to the 4 hour and see our 6 hour time frame. So on the 6 hour time frame on DXY, we have this other block here, and which price wants to retest. We're going to be taking out the low of Friday, which will be like inducement from here. You can see how that looks like on this particular time frame. So which means price might take out this low as inducement, and then from there we can continue higher. All right. I think that would be good. That will be some good price action if we take out this low, and then all the barriers will be taken out, and then price continue higher from there. We've already mitigated, right now, we've mitigated this fair value gap already. So I think that would be good for price to continue buying at that point. Let's look at, all right, Euro USD on the daily chart. We can also notice that price, though price wasn't, price has not been very good with Euro USD and GU. All right, especially GU. GU has been struggling to sell off, but Euro USD was finally catching up with the trend on Friday, Thursday, and Friday. But still, we just feel the weekly fair value gap, and price did not close on it as it did on DXY. But still, we close within the fair value gap. So at this point, we still have this other block up here on Euro USD, and we still have this fair value gap. This is a very, I mean, it's a high probability key level for price to come up to come into, considering that we have a fair value gap before another block. All right. It's actually a high probability key level. What that simply means is price is going to be coming into this area, but now the only question or the only thing you might want to find out is when will that happen, all right? Or how would it happen? Because price can do things, comes back to this before it moves up to that area, or still, as price has filled this fair value gap, maybe Monday we just see price pushing up into that area before we now have a push back to the downside. It's still very possible because at this point we can see that also maybe price took out liquidity here, gave us SMT at this point, gave us a shift in market structure, and then we had a key level here with a fair value gap. Then price might just push back up to the key level, drop back down to this other block maybe before continue higher. We cannot say for now, but all is that we know we're having a draw on liquidity which is higher on Euro USD, but then want a key level that will give us the opportunity to buy into that particular key level. All right. But for now, we have had quite a nice expansion, which we really want to see price to at least give us some pullback before we continue higher. Looking at it on the daily time frame, the same fair value gap we spotted on DXY, we have it right here. Okay, we have it. The fair value gap was aligning with a breaker on DXY. I think here as well. This is the breaker this is the same breaker. All right, so that is our key level on Euro USD. It is around 618 level, and I think it's also a good spot. Let's see if price wants to drop down to that area. But nevertheless, if price comes down to this area, this first fair value gap, and on the 4 hour time frame, we'll have some reversal confirmations, we can start buying. All right. But I'm going to be updating you guys with the price action within this week, the moment price is coming into this key level. But for now, I expect more deeper prices. And like we said on DXY, we can expect price to take out previous, Friday's high on Euro USD. All right. Maybe now making it a CRT, we take out Friday's high, then we come back down. Something like that. We also have this fair value gap on Euro USD that was not filled. Same. So on GU, GBP USD, looking at it on the weekly time frame, we still have that fair value gap not really filled on GU, and we have price also taking out this CRT high. Now, what is the name of this candle? Somebody should write it on the comment section. What is the name of this candle? The first person that will give the right answer will have a prize after this session. The first person that will give the correct answer will have a prize after this session. Now, we have this candle right here, and then we still have this fair value gap. So price would want to still come back and fill it, I believe so. And we also have this fair value gap here with this other block. All right. This is the same potential area thing placed on GU or on Euro USD that we have seen. All right. So price is likely going to be coming up to this area. But then the question is, do we have a key level to support price to move from there to that up? So we have this fair value gap on GU. Going to the daily time frame, we can also spot this breaker right here. Okay, we can spot this breaker leading to this fair value gap. You can also say maybe this one. Okay, aligns with this fair value gap here. And since GU is not proving to be too weak, we might see it buying from this one. All right, so that's what I'm expecting on GU. A little sell to the fair value gap, maybe into this before we continue the trend to the upside. I believe trend line traders will also be looking at some kind of a touch around that area or a retest of this resistance as it was broken. Okay, so yeah, I think that looks good on GU. All right, so let's move on to gold. Uh, so looking at gold, we had very, very nice price action last week. Price dropped so massively as we had some very nice uh, entries on that in the breaker. So we've closed bullish again. You can see that price is heavily bullish, and we still have a breaker right here. Okay, this is a breaker area, and I believe that price retests it, we might be making another new high again. Let's go to the daily chart. So we still have this breaker, and we want price to come down to it. From there, we can have another. This is already a reversal, pullback reversal signal that we're having here, which means that price by Monday might trade back up, maybe taking out, filling this candle before we continue that drop to the downside, unless there is some key level above this rejection, which would make this candle a CRT. Looking at it, let's see 6 hours time frame. All right, on the 6 hour time frame, price already mitigated this candle. Let's see 4 hour. 4 hour time frame is the same thing. I don't think there is any time frame that price. Let's see 3 hours. 3 hours, that area has been mitigated. Let's go to 2 hours. All right, same on the 2 hour time frame. What about 1 hour time frame? On the 1 hour time frame, everything has been mitigated right from this candle. Let's see this week. That can be a rejection block, which is another block on the lower time frame. 30 minutes. Do we have any other block there? Okay. So we have another block here that has not been mitigated. I think price did not touch it from this move here. We did not touch it from here. So this is the only key level on gold that if price wants to buy aggressively too before selling, will then. But looking at this area, all right, we had a strong area of support here that was broken, which would likely want to hold price to push it more down to the breaker that we identified on the daily time frame. And looking at this particular area, this is actually a market maker sell model, which means price would like definitely be taking out this original consolidation here, coming down to the breaker. All right, so I feel like we're going to be having some sales coming in, maybe from this fair value gap. If price wants to play with sell traders, we have this area of resistance here. Right? It was first of all a support, and then becomes it was broken, and now we look at it to maybe support price to continue lower. And like I said, we still have this other block here. Maybe you know how gold moves, especially when it's at all-time high. We might just see spike like that before it drops, so that it takes out all these people that will be selling these areas of other blocks here into that particular other block before we sell off. And also, if we have our sell confirmations from here, I think this is our selling zone. All right, this is our selling zone on gold. You can look for your entries for a sell on these particular areas. All right. And then this other block here. So that's it on gold. Let's look at Bitcoin. All right. So Bitcoin looks like it's making its way back up after price traded down to this rejection block, this fair value gap here. Okay. Let's go to the weekly first. All right, so I saw this on the weekly time frame, though Bitcoin right now is the moves are more influenced by fundamentals. But this is what I saw on the weekly to look like it's a CRT. Let's look at the monthly for a second. 1 month. All right, so the monthly low has been taken out. I think I saw some. Let's look at 2 weeks time frame. All right, so we have this fair value gap price filled into, and we did not close below it. We did not close even inside the fair value gap, which is good, I would say. But then I don't want to just consider this to be a CRT because I was literally waiting for price to at least come down and maybe retest this area of this breaker here before we continue higher. But then price did not, and maybe even to say this was another block, the price did not. So at this area, I'm not very sure of a buy yet because at the end of the day, this might even become another new CRT, which means price can still play around here, take out this low, tap into this area now before we see some buys coming in. And beautiful, I think I discussed this analysis with someone that we have this other block which might support price, and also seeing how this bullish displacement came in, there's the possibility for price to want to go higher. All right, but now this is a unique candle. This particular candle here, if Bitcoin is able to close below this particular candle, therefore, we are dropping down, taking down this low, and then coming down to meet up with this resistance and even this fair value gap. So this will be our next target sales on Bitcoin. All right. So this particular low is my invalidation. Price should not take it if we want to really continue higher, or price should not close below it if we want to continue higher. All right. So that's it for gold. For Bitcoin, I don't price here is not yet confirmed for me unless we come right up to take this swing high, then we can be fully bullish on it to expect price clear out all that trendline liquidity back to the all-time high. But for now, as we're playing around this area, maybe it's just an accumulation to drop more again. All right. All right. That's for Bitcoin. I think I asked the question. Let's see how many people got that answer correct before we move forward. It was on the weekly time frame. Remember, I said the first person that gets it right, because like 20 people might get it right, but the first person that will get it right, you have a price later on. You can text me on WhatsApp. This particular candle. Okay, let's go. Jerry said a doji, shooting star, doji candle, doji, indecision candle, flagship reversal, doji indecision candle, kiss of death, indecision candle, downward butterfly. This is the downward butterfly doji candle. Wow, I've never seen that one before. A doji candle that forms a zero candle. I meant a downward dragon doji. Oh God. Shooting star. All right, I'll give you guys one more chance. Okay. All right, I'll give you guys one more chance. So let's continue. Let's go to let's look at Nasdaq. Right. So Nasdaq dropped down to the other block we pointed in our last session. We opened last week with a huge volume gap to the downside. And this week we managed to trade back into that volume gap. I think price should from there give us at least a deeper correction. So uh, I'm bullish on Nasdaq. US soil, let's see what happened. US soil, I believe that you guys remember we have been talking about this trend line liquidity for quite some time. The market had to do a kiss of death before actually dropping down to that area. And I believe we're still going to drop right down to taking out this particular low. Let's see, GBP, GPY. GBP, GPY, we are trying to move higher. And I think we have this trend line. This guy is trapped somewhere. We are trapped in a triangle. Maybe you're gonna be having a breakout to the downside. Beautiful. I think last week we were talking about this candle to be a CRT, and we just took out the high and closed back within it. So that is kind of like a sign that we might be having lower prices, but still we have this key level here and this other block that's not been mitigated. So I think we might still see more higher prices this week. This other block will support it. I was actually expecting price to drop down to a particular key level here and I buy, but price did not tap into my zone, which was this other block right here. I was waiting for price on this other block to buy up to that key level, but that did not happen. So maybe it will happen this week. I even had my alerts. I think I had two key levels here. I had two key levels. This one, and then this one down. So I was waiting for price here to get confirmations. I think we are just building up liquidity to those key levels, and from there maybe we have a push from there to the upside, any of these key levels. All right, so all right, that's it for GBP GPY. Also, Euro USD GPY did not do well last week. I was expecting it to fill this fair value gap before I take my buys, and unfortunately, price just retested this breaker right here, and then it started going back up. The moment price closed like this, that was a sign that we are no longer coming down again, and probably there was an SMT around that area to support that idea of price not coming down to that area again. And last week there was some news which was on Friday. Was there news on yeah, there was news on Friday which pushed the guy lower and retesting this other block and we had price moving back up again. And this is now like a potential CRT where price or maybe want to push higher. But then also it's still a possibility that this guy might play around this area, come back down to this fair value gap before we continue back higher. All right, so that's for USDJPY. I think we have exhausted everything. Now let's look at the last chance that I've given you guys. Jerry says shooting star, Marabuso. Okay. Indecision candle, evening star, that's an indecision candle star, which we could consider a kiss of death. Now, high wave candle. I've never seen that one. Expansion candle. Nah. Shooting star. Gravestone. You guys are not. I want. There's a particular word. There's a particular word I want to get. I'm not getting it. I cannot be asking you just like that, like doji, doji, doji. That's for nursery school students, right? There's children below 5 years old. Spinning top. Wow. My God. Oh my God. I'm giving you guys so many chances. Show it again, sir. All right. Go back to it. Weekly time frame. Let me just end the session here. Just stay. Let me close this recording.